Hey everybody, it's Robert C. Stern with The Social Leader, back with another Conversation Live. I am so thrilled doing this. We got so many things planned for the rest of the year. People coming up, and we're going to be doing interviews every Tuesday and Friday, it looks like now. We're going to be going twice a week. So this week, I got a really special guest. His name is Andy W. Shepard from Shepard Coaching, and he is how shall we put it, a transformational life coaching juggernaut. How'd that sound, Andy?
Sounds great. Thank you. I've never been heard a life coaching juggernaut before. I love it. Awesome.
So I know you've done some training with the Tony Robbins, and I know you've done some training with, I think it was Dale Carnegie Institute. And I'm just curious, a lot of people may not know you from watching on the replay or watching this live. Little history about you.
Okay, a quick potted history. Wow, there's so much to tell, but I started off as life in my mother's kitchen. She had a vegetarian restaurant when being vegetarian was totally uncool. That got me into learning about customer service, and that got me into the computer industry. I had 12 years working for DEC, digital equipment company, and that got me into really stressful corporate life. So I escaped, went to Brazil, fell in love. That didn't work out, fell in love with the country. So I stayed there for 14 years. I had my own English language school there, built it from zero. I started by renting a table in a coffee shop in the middle of the mall. I paid $1 cappuccino per hour. And then by the crashing of all of that, me about to lose my life savings, I started getting into Dale Carnegie, Tony Robbins, and so on. And they really showed me the light and showed me that I didn't need to suffer. I could be successful, and I was, and how to have a great life. Came to LA to help other people do the same.
Cool. So we're a West Coast boy now.
That's right.
You got the country look behind you.
There you go.
So, when we discussed on the phone earlier last week, when we started talking about doing this one, we were trying to figure out, life coaching and business and social media and, how do we incorporate all this? And it really does incorporate everything because, we'll get into more, definitive and maybe like case scenarios and things like that. But what happens to a person, well, let's start off with this. I don't want to jump ahead. The mindset of a business person. How would you, because everybody's like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm self-employed, there's all these different terms out there, but it's all in the mindset. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, mindset is a whole bunch of stuff. We use the word mindset expecting it to be a positive thing, but mindset for most people is something that's negative. The mindset of certain people is a defeatist mindset. They've got a mindset for failure. They've got a mindset for their business going down the drain. They've got a mindset for poverty. They've got a mindset for, not being happy. They've got a mindset for everybody being against them. So, what I do is to help people to have a really positive mindset, to have a mindset where they're attracting abundance, where they're attracting great things and their business to do really, really well. So there's a kind of an important distinction there. Mindset is what we really want is a useful mindset, not a useless mindset or a negative mindset.
I like that. A useful one, not a useless one.
Exactly.
But, we've all had curveballs, and it affects our business, whether it was a personal thing at home, a family member, could be a sickness, could be a death, could be a divorce. Even when, I'll give a minor example, and it's small compared to business, but it affects your business. Your child's homesick. How those things come to play, and how do you get your mindset back when your mind is thinking about something else?
Okay, well, I can really relate to this, not from a sickness point of view per se, but I remember when I was in the UK and I really didn't have control of my mind and be able to kind of decide what I want to think and what I don't want to think. And I had a girlfriend who was really, really playing me up, shall we say. And in those days, I had like a car phone, and they were really, really expensive, and they were the first out. But we would always talk before I went to work. Now, she just got this way of putting me in a really bad mood. I don't know why I talked to her. So I get to work feeling really, really bad, thinking the relationship was going to be over or I don't know what. And I got to perform. I was working for DEC, and basically I was looking over 60 sites. And so I got a pretty important job. I got to hold it together. So what I did was I just said, okay, when I walk through this certain door going into the office, I will be the happiest person that anybody could ever imagine. I'm just going to act this, even though I'm feeling like I'm absolutely dead inside and that everything is really falling to pieces. I'm going to act that I am a really, really happy person. And everybody really picked up on that. They could see me as being this brilliantly happy person. Now, I know that that wasn't really helping me to solve my problems, but it was at least a band-aid so that I could perform and keep working. And another thing that I did was when I went into the gate of where I was going to park my car, I said, when I go through it, right, work starts. And when I go the opposite way, as I'm going home, then work ends, and I can now think about what's going on at home. So that really helped. And I think we do need to kind of separate the two things. If we're going to think about two things at once, we're going to send ourselves crazy. We need to, you know, kind of be practical about it and somehow allocate some time to it and say, look, I've got to work now. I have to do this. I've got to bring in the dollars and I've got no choice. And if I keep thinking about all the problems that I've got and, you know, a friend of mine being in hospital or whatever, it's going to really affect my performance. I can't do this. So I've got to shut off. Not because I don't love that person, but it's like, you know, there's a time and place, and this isn't the time, unfortunately.
But, you know, what's interesting is that it sounds so easy, but it's not.
Well, it is and it isn't. If you really fully immerse yourself into it and you make a decision that that is the way it's going to be, then it's easy. But the reason it's difficult is when you resist. Whenever you resist anything, it's always really, really difficult. Imagine you're going skydiving and you've decided you're going to do it. And the instructor's decided you're going to go because he's going to throw you out of the aircraft. Imagine that you're there at the door and you're holding on for dear life and you've got scratch marks on the paintwork because you are not going to let go. That's kind of not a really nice experience and a nice way to go skydiving. But if you commit to it and say, look, I'm going to do this. I've got no choice. I've made the decision. I've paid the money. I've done all the training. Now I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to jump out of the aircraft and I'm going to skydive. And, you know, I've got somebody who's got my back and I'm going to be safe. You just got to commit. You just got to go for it. And the more resist, the more painful things are. Some things are inevitable in life, I believe. We just got to flow with it. When we don't, when we go against the flow, then we get resistance, then we get the pain.
Do you think it depends on the level of what's going on in your life also?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Child home sick with the fever. It's nothing major. It's an ear infection. It's this. It's on your mind.
Yes.
But then let's take it, you know, a step further and say it's your mom with cancer.
Yes. Yeah.
And those are hard things to get out of your mind.
That's right. Well, there's a couple of things with this. I mean, I did a lot of meditation in the past, and it really taught me to be able to control my mind and to be able to think about what I wanted and not think about what I didn't want. And I think this is the greatest thing that I ever did. And I really, really recommend that people learn to meditate. I know there's these things that you can put tones in your ears and people call that meditation. Maybe it helps, but I mean, doing proper meditation where you're maybe focusing on the breath, breathing in and breathing out and just watching the breath. The mind needs something to focus on. You can't think about nothing. You focus on the breath, the mind's happy. It's got something to concentrate on. So this gives you control. It gives you control about what to think about and what you can't. And unfortunately, it's like, you know, I've suffered so much by worrying about other people's problems. Now, looking at my own problems, I know that what I learned from them has been the greatest thing ever. And I'm not talking, this is separating from disease, because I know this is a really, really tricky subject. But I know that in every situation I've come through, there's always been a lesson to learn from it. And I learned that, I decided that if I had the chance to change anything that happened in the past, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be where I am exactly now, because I can trace back exactly all of the series of events that got me to be here and to be, in fact, talking to you right now, because I should be in Brazil, or I should be in the UK, or maybe I could have had a top job in London. I should be there, or I should be in Paris. There is or even Sydney in Australia. There is so many possibilities. Now, I know that everything that I went through, especially the bad stuff, really helped me to purify myself and to get where I am now. And so with that in mind, I have no idea what another person is going through and what possibility they have to learn from whatever bad situation they're going through. You know, as they say, make lemonade out of lemons. And that's really what we need to do in life. Instead of complaining all the time about how bitter it is, we need to make something good out of it. And if we can focus on that instead of how bad stuff is, we are really in good shape to start changing things.
No, it's true. Now, do you feel it's the same method in your mind and getting your mindset that way when we reverse the situation, where something major happens at work and then you come home and you take it out on your family?
Yeah, we need to switch off again. Like I say, you go through the gate, you need to make a certain barrier. And if you're working from home, that's probably going to be difficult because, you know, you haven't got a door to go through or whatever. But you could say, okay, well, I walk away from my desk or wherever it is that you work. That's when I, you know, I switch off from work. And it is important to separate these things. I mean, I live with my girlfriend, and, you know, sometimes life catches you out. And even though I'm saying all of these great things, which are great in theory, you know, we all have our bad days, and sometimes we get out of whack. And I turn around to her and I just say, look, you know, this is not about you. I'm really sorry. You know, there's some stuff that's been stressing me out, and, you know, we just kind of deal with it that way.
What about the idea, and I'm just curious in your opinion on it, it's okay to show some of that emotion, let's say from home to work, to let people know what you're going through?
I think we've got to be careful about this. And definitely it depends on who you're with. One thing that I do know is that I prefer not to dwell on whatever problems I've got, because I've got this thing about complaining. And if we're dwelling on our problems, then this is a type of complaining. And I feel that complaining is a really negative energy, which just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it snowballs out of control really, really easily. And the other thing is that, you know, other people don't really want to know what we're going through. They've got their own stuff. You know, it's not about us, it's about them. And we're better off by, you know, finding out, talking to them and getting them to tell us what's going on in their lives and listen to them. A better relationship that way. And there are very few people that I talk to about my problems. And I find that better, because people have all got an opinion, but are they going to give you the right advice? You get so much bad advice from people who are not qualified to give you something that's useful. Mm-hmm. So I prefer not to talk about it. I just say, okay, well, I'm going through a process at the moment. And, you know, this is really the best person to talk to is a coach. or a mentor, and that's it. And
Depending
anybody
what's
else
going on in your life. Exactly.
yeah, exactly. Or obviously, you know, your nearest and dearest, so your girlfriend, wife, or husband, or your boyfriend, you know.
Well, because I mean, playing the counteractive effect of what you were just saying, by keeping it all boiled in sometimes.
No, you do need. Yes, I agree. You don't want to get
See
to a
where I'm
pressure
going.
cooker. Yes, yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing. You've got to have a mechanism to be able to release all this. If it's all pent up inside you, that's not good. So you need to have ways of letting it out and how to deal with it. I mean, it's like a formula. You've got to have all the pieces as well. So, but I mean, having said that, yeah, I mean, okay, to spout it to one person, let it out. But if you're just continually complaining to everybody, there are people who do that. They complain about absolutely everything all day long, don't they? I mean, you've met people like that, haven't you?
Oh, I know tons of people like that.
We all do.
I see business owners do it about
Right.
their competition.
Exactly.
They're
And that's
so focused on telling people how bad another company is or how everything else is about them. And I'm sitting there going, focus on you. Focus on your company.
yes. And exactly. And imagine how much time, if they put that time on their business, imagine how their business would grow. Because one, they haven't got all the negative energy of the complaints. Two, they're not kind of putting the other person off by the fact that he's complaining all the time. I mean, you shouldn't be ever shooting down your competition. It doesn't make you look good at all, ever. So it's not helpful. And, you know, if you're all the time kind of looking at the other person, I mean, when I was in business in Brazil, I had so many imitators. And I used to go, bring it on. I've got so many ideas. You can chase after me, but you'll never catch me. I'm always going to be ahead of you. And it was just a big game. I loved it. I didn't care. I say, right, you know, this is old stuff you're copying off. It's ridiculous. I don't care. I'm going to bring it on now. I'm going to take you out.
Now, I want to bring in my realm to your realm.
Okay, please.
They do coincide with a business mindset and transformation and learning to deal with struggles that are mentally going on in your head. Like, you know, we even discussed, you know, your best salesperson leaves. Look at it as an opportunity. Don't look at it as this. You know, we've talked a little bit about that stuff behind the scenes last week, but I'm going to bring social media into play.
Okay.
And I see it all the time. You know, on personal profiles, not as much on business, but they bring the business onto their personal profiles, where they'll either A, talk bad about another company, B, start to bring up subjects that, for me personally, if you're using social media for business, are no-nos.
Right.
We're right in the heart of one of the biggest political things that are going on right now between, I'll say the names, it's nothing bad, Trump and Clinton.
Right.
And I'm watching all types of businesses on their personal profiles, but everybody knows their business because they're realtors or they're MLMs or they own a restaurant or they own a shop, and they're on there and they're pushing out these political views. How damaging is that?
I think it's a really, really bad idea. I mean, I've got lots of comments that I want to make about politics and about a whole bunch of stuff. And the other thing that I'm not going to talk about also is if I'm having a bad day or if I'm feeling I've got myself into a funk. Because the first thing I'm going to do is get myself out of it. But there are times when you wallow for a bit before you decide, okay, I know how to get out of this. It's time to get out, and I'm not going to complain to people about what's going on. And I see people do this. I actually unfriended somebody because of it, because he just kept having these rants about how everything was going wrong. And I thought, this is just, you can't do this. You cannot. You know, especially Facebook. This is not a place where you talk about things like this, you know, especially if you're in a business. You know, you don't want to be telling people, oh, I've got no money and my client just didn't give me a check and I'm about to go under. Please send me positive vibes. No, no, no. If you're going to do it, then maybe find a special group somewhere, which is like private, away from everybody, and you could open up there, but never, ever do it on your wall. You don't know who's watching you. It's just like business suicide. It's so negative. Terrible.
I mean, I understand when I see it on there saying, just letting you all know my spouse, mother, or somebody is sick, and I'm looking.
Absolutely.
Those are not negative things. They're just looking for support and letting you know what's going on. And it is on the social space, even though it's part of business for a lot of people.
Yes.
But that's not as bad as, like you just said, where, oh my God, this person, don't talk to them, don't do anything with them, don't do business with them, don't do the, and I'm sitting there going, now it's funny because now if I take this conversation and we talk about Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter, believe it or not, is a way to get a company's attention to a customer service problem.
Right, right.
Where I've seen people tag companies having issues at the hotel or having issues on your airline with something, blah, blah, blah. And they are monitoring this and getting back to work their customer service.
Right, yes, yes. I think I'd be tempted to have two profiles if I was going to do that, though. I wouldn't want to be doing that if I got like 100,000 followers. I wouldn't want to be doing that. But yeah, I mean, these things do work. I mean, even if you put it on Facebook and tag them in, maybe they'd respond from that. I actually did do something. I had a problem with a tooth, and basically I'd had a tooth removed, and then they were putting in a post and a crown, and it all went wrong. I mean, basically the dentist who'd done it wasn't him, but it was somebody he got in a partner to do it, and they'd left part of the tooth in. So I took a photograph, and I don't usually post this, but I was like incredulous that this had happened. He got back to me within like 5 seconds, and he said, "I'm so sorry this has happened," and sent me a whole bunch of money to get it set straight. So it does work. I mean, I shouldn't have done that really, but I didn't mention the person's name and I didn't say who it was or anything, but it was just like, I just couldn't believe what was happening, but yeah, it does work. But
so I was going to say, so what are little tricks, little ones that people can start, because it takes time to retrain your brain to do something like this, because that's what you're basically doing. You're retraining everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, a 50-year-old person that's set in their ways. Yes, I'm 50. And now you try to alter this thing. It takes a while sometimes to get into the habit of doing those things. So what are little tricks that can help?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head, basically about you need a habit for doing stuff. So you've just answered the question. It's just about doing it, and you need to stop your resistance to whatever it is that you're going to try to do. And one thing is about this business of age. I don't tell people how old I am, because there are two things that happen. As soon as I tell them, then they start treating me differently. And number two, I start believing that I'm whatever age I am. In my heart, for me, I'm still 36. And in fact, secretly, sometimes I feel I'm about 21, but don't tell anybody. And this keeps me vibrant and young, because if I go for my physical age...
Facebook, so we just told about a couple billion people.
Oh, well, what the
heck. It's not, what happens in Vegas might stay in Vegas unless it's social media out. But what happens on social media, sorry, it's open to everybody.
There you go. There you go. Well, yeah, you got me there. So it's like, if we look at our own age, then we kind of get hypnotized into being what we're supposed to be at that age. And I don't think we should. And this is what's keeping people young now, by not getting into what their age should be and just going beyond it. And it's like, if we start thinking, okay, oh, you know, I'm 50 years old, and or whatever age, it could be 60, it could be 40, some people it could be 30. Oh, it's going to be so difficult to, you know, break habits and etc. Then you are hypnotizing yourself. You're making yourself believe that. So you shouldn't do it. It's like, stop it, you know, just stop it. I mean, if anybody remembers Bob Newhart, this is what he said. He was like, he was doing this interview, and he said, oh, in 5 seconds, I can cure you of anything. So what is your problem? And then she came out with the problem, and he just said, stop it, just stop it. Just stop. Yeah, stop it.
And it does seem that simple. It really does. It's like, when you're talking about things, it's like, oh, I just got to stop it. But you just don't.
So we need to. It's like we overcomplicate stuff. You know, the fact of life, and I really believe this, my mentor says that it takes this long to make a decision and change everything in our life. Of any situation whatsoever, it takes that long. In an instant, we can say, I've had enough. I'm not going to have this anymore. Not one more year, not one more month, not one more week, not one more hour, not one more second. It ends now. And this is what happens. For example, Nelson Mandela with apartheid. I know he took a long time to do it, but his decision was, this will never be anymore. And he said, I will do whatever it takes to get me to that situation. So the decision was made that in that split second to motivate him to do whatever he wanted. And that's what we need to say. We just need to say, I'm going to stop it. And just by doing that, sometimes it will happen instantly, and we will be able to stop whatever we're doing. For example, I stopped smoking for 60 times. And there was one time where I got enough of a big enough why, it stopped me completely. And the reason was, there was 2 whys. One of them was I got this chest infection, and I felt as if I was getting a chest infection, and something in my head said, this is really bad, you need to stop now. And the second was, I got a new girlfriend. I was just about to start dating, and I knew that she hated smoking, and if she knew I smoked, that'd be the end. And I was crazy about her. So those 2 whys were big enough to stop me, and that made me go, that's it, not another second. I will never smoke again. And I don't smoke, you know, and that's the decision.
What do you think the biggest? I hate the word trouble, but it kind of fix it.
Okay.
In the biggest trouble people have of trying to focus. Okay, I'm at work. This is what I do. Mm-hmm. I love my. First of all, if you don't have your passion for your job, it's even harder. But you got to love what you're doing. So you do it. And you're happy, and you know, problems arise, you take care of them, there's fires to put out, that's part of business. Yeah. And then you leave at whatever time. I'm not saying 5 o'clock, because I don't believe anybody leaves at 5 o'clock anymore. And
that's right. What, 5 o'clock?
And that switch comes. So what do you think the biggest trouble people have? Because we all understand we need to be doing it. We all understand the benefits of doing it. But what is the biggest trouble in a person that they're not doing it?
Okay, well, I'm going to answer this a little bit differently. I'm just going to give you a tool which really, really helped me. I had many sleepless nights when I was in Brazil with my business, when it was really it was a point where I was going to lose my life savings. And this was before I started studying Tony Robbins and Harv Eker and all the rest of it. And what I did was, I found that if I woke up in the middle of the night with a whole bunch of stuff in my head, I just write it down. I wrote down exactly what I needed to do tomorrow. I need to talk to Mr. Smith tomorrow about this. I need to do this. I need to pay this bill. I need to do that. I wrote it all out. And once I'd planned my whole day of what I needed to do, and I'd prioritized them, maybe 1, 2, 3 of the order I had to do them, at that point, I could let go. Okay, I can't do anything anymore. I need to sleep now. There's nobody awake. There's nobody working. So I can't do anything. I now allow myself to sleep. And just doing that, I got it all on paper. I could sleep then. And then in the morning, I could look at the list and decide on any perfections that I could make on it, kind of tied it up, and then go for it. And I found that really, really helped me.
So I was going to say, even, with the listing and the things like that, what about for people that, let's say, do have things going on in their life and they're trying to separate them? What's your feeling about journaling, or, the old version of keeping a diary, but just kind of writing it out, what their feelings are, their emotions, so that they can get it out of their system and then move on?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to do that, then that's fine. But the only concern is that they're going to go back and then read over it again. So, I mean, I don't personally do this, but if they want to, I would suggest that they write it and then burn it, throw it away, because if you're going and reading it again, you're just reinforcing whatever negative feelings you are. For me, a journal should be something that's positive, something that's going to inspire you, something that's going to make you feel good. So, I don't know. That's not the way that I use a journal. I think you're better, to talk to a coach or somebody like that who can help you through the situation. But letting it out, yeah, I mean, maybe that's one way. The other thing that I worry about when you're writing is that when you're writing, from an NLP point of view, it's putting it into your nervous system. So I don't want to be writing bad stuff because that's going into my nervous system. I don't want to do that. That
makes a lot of sense. I didn't think of it that way, because as you're, the old teaching method of write it out, because if you write it out, your brain is embedding it even further.
Yeah.
Because I even do that with my 9-year-old. I'll say, do me a favor, write it out, because I know she's trying to memorize it, and then I'll say, she's doing her spelling, type of things, and I'll say, do me a favor, go write that word 10 times.
Yes.
Because I know if she writes it, every time she's writing it, it's pushing it and pushing it and pushing it further in.
Exactly. So do you want to push in and push in and push in all your negative thoughts? Probably not.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So it kind of goes also, just hopping over to a different area. We all see these quotes out there, keep the positivity in your life and throw away the negative. And, a lot of people say, get the negative people out of your life. And this goes in all aspects of business. A lot of people I know that get involved in the multi-level marketing and networking, network affiliated items and stuff like that. And then they tell their family, they're all excited, they're gonna do this, and they can build a team. And then you get those few in the family going, that's a crock of.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need them at all.
So it's kind of like trying to push the negative out and keep the people around you that are supportive.
Absolutely. We need to do that. Definitely. Going back to what you were saying about writing stuff out, there is one thing that I would say is useful. Like in a relationship, when I'm finishing a relationship, I write what I called yes and no. But it's basically the pros and cons to a relationship, the positives and the negatives. And then I'd write all the positive things. I'd split the page in half, write all the positives and all the negatives. And usually just by looking at it, when you can see the negatives are bigger than the positives, you don't even need to read it. It's about time. You need to finish the relationship. I think that's a useful process to go through, to just get it there. And if you're having difficulty, relationship's bad, but you need the proof, then writing it out like that is useful. So it can be, you just need to use it in the right way. And so I guess that's with anything. You could do that with whether a job is right for you, whether you need to change country or whatever, then that could be useful.
What's your feeling about all these people that come on live streaming and all they're doing is complaining about life?
Well, I'm really fortunate. I don't have anybody who are my friends who do that. I mean, I'm pretty careful and selective about who is in there, and I would not be impressed by that, and I definitely wouldn't listen. And I would probably reach out, and it's a good indicator they need a coach. So I go to them and say, hey, you know, I can see you going through a few things. Would you like to can I give you a call? You know, I'll give you 30 minutes of coaching on this, and it's complimentary, but I just want to see if I can give you a couple of pointers. And if you want to take it further, that's fine. And you know, if you don't, it's great, because hopefully I've helped you. That's kind of where I go with it. But yeah, not a good idea.
Now, Char in the comments I noticed on Facebook, she wrote, "My hubby and I work together and we set boundaries as to when we talk about business. And also as a coach, because she's a type of coach also, I have an imaginary coat I remove as I leave my home office."
Great, that works really well. Excellent. Yeah, so you've answered it. For me, it was going through a physical boundary. And yeah, that's good. I know that I worked for somebody, and when he was thinking, he used to put a cap on. And when he put the cap on, it means leave me alone. I'm going through, I'm in a writing phase, I'm in a creative phase, do not talk to me. So I guess you could do the same. You could be working and you've got a special hat or cap or something, or a coat. That's really good. Yeah, I like that. And then when you're not working, you just take it off. Yeah, these are great.
And it's funny because when I was a realtor 10 years ago, and one of our good friends was moving out of state, and I listed their house. And a lot of people take that whole, I don't like to do business with friends because I don't want to mix. And I understand it, because if God forbid something goes south, it's like, what happens to the friendship and I showed up to do my presentation, which they told me I didn't need to do. And I said, but that's my job. I need to show you what's going on. I'm not just going to take it because you like me.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to see what's going on. And I showed up, and as a realtor, I always wore a tie. And, you know, I don't do that anymore with the social media side. But I had the tie on, and I showed up. And they were like taken back because I had a sport coat, a tie, and I had my little everything. And I said, listen, we are good friends, but there is a line. I'm now taking off my friend hat, and I literally did this, and I'm putting on my realtor hat.
Nice.
And we are going to talk as Robert C. Stern, realtor, to my buddies John and Teresa.
Right.
Selling your. And then that Friday night, we were all together. We had a barbecue, and that was my friend hat. So I was trying to keep them separate. Luckily, house sold in like 2 days with 7 offers. You know, it was great. So, but it was just, I purposely, because that's a fine line. There's 2 situations where you're trying to do business with people that you're friendly with, because now you got those lines crossing sometimes. And kind of like what Char was saying a little bit, what happens if you work with your spouse or significant other? How many people, you know, I watch these TV shows all the time where the couples work at the retail shop or the restaurant together, and whatever problem happens there, they're still talking about it at home. And it's just like gnawing away at their relationship, even though it shouldn't be, because you guys left the office, you left the restaurant, leave it over there.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, when I was working for DEC, we used to say, is there life after DEC? Because Deckies, as we called ourselves, were so passionate about our company. We really, really believed that we were the best computer company in the world, and we probably were. And, you know, we would just talk about it all the time. We ate and slept and breathed it. And it was completely annoying to everybody else, for sure. And I think it's absolutely right. You've got to kind of segregate work and social life. However, that's kind of very difficult nowadays because of this thing. Because this is not a cell phone. This is basically a supercomputer. This has got everything. This is your studio. This is your recording studio. This is everything. And you carry this everywhere. This has got all your social media on it. So it's really difficult to get away now, because there's always going to be somebody interacting. And there's times when I'm, you know, with my girlfriend, and I've got to connect with somebody, and I've got to answer the question or whatever. And that can be tricky. But I think that, you know, there are good boundaries to set, and we have to decide. You know, I believe that, you know, we should you know, decide what we want from our life, and not let life decide for us. For example, Charlene Johnson, she's a Beachbody coach, and she's like, have you heard of Charlene Johnson?
Oh, I know Charlene. Yep.
Exactly. So she decided, I think it's changed now, but she decided when her kids were younger that at 5 o'clock every day she would stop working, and she, you know, her quality of life was about being with her kids and being with her family and having quality time. And that's what she did. She said, I could have gone to many, many functions at night, and I could have got multi-million-dollar deals from it, but I didn't, because the most important thing to me was my family. And that's what you've got to decide. And you've definitely got to say, okay, there's some quality time that's going to be had. And I really admire people on social media when they turn around and say, I'm going to have several days off. I mean, we've got a friend in common, Joel Calm. He'll say, I'm unplugging for 15 days, and he won't say why. He'll just disappear. And I love the guy for doing that, because he's always there in social media, in every platform there is, and he shares everything. But in that, it just says, right, that's it, I'm unplugging. And some people say, okay, Sundays, I'm unplugging. This is my day. They'll put something on Snapchat and they'll say, hey, happy Sunday, everybody. This is my rest day. See you Monday. Perfect. Set boundaries and stick to them.
Yeah, no, that's extremely important, you know, especially, you know, and it's hard in the mindset, because if you're growing your business, you want to be available, but at the same time, and you know Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Yeah, no, I've heard the name.
I know him, but I mean, you know of him.
Yes.
So he was on stage once on one of his little interviews, and he said this amazing thing about, listen, everybody has to decide for themselves what success is for them. He works humongous amounts of hours. He's got kids, you know, the whole bit and everything else. But I mean, he is the hustler of hustlers. He's out there all the time. He's out at 5 in the morning. He's at the gym. He's doing his little social media stuff, and he's constantly on the move. Even when he's in the car, he's doing stuff and everything else. And he said, you know, that's the way he wants to do it. I mean, he has a goal. His personal goal is to buy the New York Jets, and he talks about it all the time. And he's going to work his you-know-what off to do it. And I believe he will do it at one point. At what age, we'll see. But on the other side of the coin, he also said, if you are happy with working 40 hours a week and having your life with your family and everything is okay, then that's all that matters.
Yes, exactly. Which is exactly what Charlene was doing. That's what she decided. She said, my family is the most important. We've all got to make that decision. But the balance
that you want determines the balance of what you want for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there definitely needs to be a balance, because it's like, if he is really, really working crazy only for business, he needs to have some social life as well, because otherwise his wife is going to leave him. Because
he does. He has some
okay, that's great.
You know, no, I mean, good. You know, Saturdays and Sundays are his family.
Great.
But
I'm
during
glad
the week, he's working 16-hour days during the week.
Right.
But okay, because he's happy with it.
Yes, that's right. And the great thing is, when you work for yourself, you can decide what hours you do want to work. And if you want to have some time off, you can. And that's one of the many things that I love about it. Because when I had a regular 9-to-5 job, it's horrendous, because all you do is look forward to the weekend, look forward to going home, look forward to when the vacation's going to happen, or holidays, or whatever. I mean, that's miserable.
I know people, they're like, it's Sunday at 3 o'clock and they're already starting to dread, because, you know, okay, tomorrow morning, back to the grind. And I know people that are self-employed that do that.
Yeah. Well, if they're self-employed doing that, they need to find they need to find something else, because they're not enjoying it. They've not found their passion, you know?
Exactly.
So it's time to find, definitely do something different.
So where can people find you to get more information? Do you have a blog? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have, you know, so that they could follow you?
Absolutely. Yeah, probably the best place to find where I'm at is to go to andythecoach.com. There if you look at the top right hand, you'll see all of where you can connect with me on Facebook, where you can connect with me on YouTube and so on. My YouTube channel, I've started creating a new one, and I'm building that now. I've got a lot of material. I spent some time yesterday putting new material on the site from my YouTube. So if you look at andythecoach.com, you'll see a whole bunch of new videos there. And also, if I can I just say that, give them a little offer as well?
Definitely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So yeah, if they go to the site, I'm offering anybody who's listening a 30-minute complimentary coaching session. So, there's so many areas that I can really help you with your business and with your personal life, because the two things are kind of interrelated. Because what I teach you for business will impact your personal life. What I teach you in personal stuff will impact you in your business. The two things are related. So I'll give you 30 minutes. We'll talk about where you're at. I'll give you a kind of a barometer. I'll look at like 8 aspects of where you're at with your life. And I'll really laser focus on a few of them, which are kind of getting low scores, give you a little bit of coaching, point you in the right direction. So it'd be my pleasure to do that. If you go to the site, you can just click on a little button there, and we can link up.
That sounds fantastic. So yeah, that's great. 30 minutes is definitely worth it these days, because to get yourself guided back on track.
Absolutely.
Where what your goal is, because everybody's got goals of what they want personally and professionally in their business, and sometimes you're sidetracked, and sometimes you're sidetracked and don't even know it.
It's true. That's the worst place to be, because when I have my clients and they're saying, oh, I've got all of these things that are wrong and I've got all these problems, and I'm saying, well, that's great. Well, why is it great, Andy? It sucks. Well, no, at least you know what you need to do. If you didn't know, you'd be in big trouble. The worst thing is when you are, in a situation where you are oblivious to it, because your business is tanking and you don't know why.
And then that's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't know why it's not working, and that becomes the biggest issue, because now you're worried about, you don't know why.
Exactly.
So it's not even that you're worried about why it is, it's you don't know why, so it's double the amount of worry, because then you finally figure it out, then you worry about that, then you gotta,
right,
and it just starts building and building, and it's like a ball going down a hill.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's so many people who say they don't need a coach, and they're probably the people who say, I don't know what's going wrong. Well, it's like, if you don't know what's going wrong and you're not willing to find somebody who's going to help you, well, that's double crazy,
What's funny? It's just funny. I have a coach too, and I think everybody needs a coach in some aspect of their life. It could be business, professional. It could be about social media. It could be about nutrition. There's so many avenues that people focus on, and that fine niche. And guess what? You could work with one for 4 or 5 months, go to and do something, and then go to a different coach to get something else going on that's in a better situation. And I love being in the social media realm. Live streaming video, Facebook or LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, I can name them all. And I'm always involved with all these things. And I'm always talking to people myself and saying, hey, this is what I do for a living. I help train, coach, strategize, and try to get you to build your business, build your brand, get your knowledge, build on relationships, all these things. And like, oh, I do that all the time. I take care of my Facebook and everything. So I'll be like, how's that working for you? Like, I'm not getting too much. And I'm sitting here going, okay, you're saying you believe in it, but you're not really getting anything out of it. So are you seeing maybe there's something, again, wrong?
Right.
Maybe there's something that needs to be tweaked or changed. That it could be one little thing that could all of a sudden go, oh my God, I'm getting business now.
That's right. And so very, very often it's just this tiny little shift like almost like Tony Robbins talks about 2mm rule, and you know, you make this 2mm difference and it means everything. I mean, if I'm kind of going from here to London and I just change my course by 2mm, well, I'm probably going to end up in, you know, I don't know where, in the North Pole or whatever, or the drink, you know. So it makes such a big difference, and we don't realize that. And that's it. Sometimes it's just the tiniest little tweak, which is just going to make everything fly. Yeah. For sure.
There's a quote out there, and I think I used it on one of my picture quotes like a few weeks ago, because I'm constantly using them, so it's always hard to remember all of them. But it was something to the extent of, your next decision that you make can bring you in a whole totally different direction.
Yes. Yes, that's right. That's right.
And you don't know what it is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's a good thing. But on the other hand, we need to be careful we're not getting sidetracked and we're not going shiny object syndrome, you know, because shiny object syndrome, as we know, is not a good thing, and we need to be careful.
That kind of just missing out, the FOMO, and, you know, all these different things that, you know, I need to be here, and I need to be here, and I need to be here, and I'm always saying, dude, focus on them. Let's master them, and then we can add afterwards.
Definitely. Shiny object syndrome usually is desperation. It's like, my business is not going well and I'm desperate to get things done. So this is, you know, oh, this is the latest thing, I'm going to do that. I don't believe in any of it. I read all the stuff. I get so many emails now and I don't even open them. And especially if I've got something which is saying I'm going to be a millionaire quick. It doesn't work that way. You've got to go for the basics and get them right. And that's what I'm doing now. I've had so many people telling me what to do, and I'm focusing on certain areas. At the moment, I'm building my YouTube and I'm building my website. And those are the two focuses of mine. Should I be doing LinkedIn? Should I be doing better on that? And Twitter? Yes, I should. But if I try and do everything all at the same time, I'm not going to get anywhere. So I just focus on one thing at a time and really, really get it somewhere. And before you know it, the millions will follow you.
It's true. And then the one last thing I was going to say, what is your feeling with business people? The fear of knowing it all.
Well,
you know where I'm going.
The fear of knowing it all is the worst place you can be. You know, you cannot say that you know everything. You cannot. It doesn't matter. You know, and the people who are wise, the people who are going places, people who are successful, recognize that they know diddly squat and there's plenty more to learn. Even when you've mastered something, there's always something new coming out, which is good, because humans get bored of stuff. When stuff is the same and we've mastered it, we get bored. We want a new challenge. So thank goodness things are always growing and getting better and better and better. We never know it all. And when we think we do, we need to look closer, because there's a lot of stuff that's missing and that we need to learn for sure.
It's reaching out and asking for help. I mean, some of the greatest businessmen, leaders, everything in the world, they surround themselves with great people so that they have people to turn to ask advice, to ask for help. And I meet so many small business, even the larger business, you know, the head director of marketing or this or whatever. And it's just like, oh, yeah, we're doing great with that stuff. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so you're getting a lot of branding, you're getting a lot of it. Well, we're getting some. We're not getting as much as we want. And I'm sitting there going, well, wait, you just said you're doing great.
That's right. That's right.
So, because I think a lot of, especially in the small business realm, you have situations of they don't want to spend money, which I understand because they're low on money and stuff. But at the same time, they'll spend hours and hours researching to get something. And you know, with my side of it is social media training, especially my group trainings and things like that. I'm trying to get answers to them as quick as possible, so they don't. So I mean, I'm a big believer in content calendars. You know, moving ahead, plan your week of what you're going to post all over social media for business and everything. Because if you wake up every single day and say, oh, what am I going to post? And you're going to spend an hour and a half or an hour throughout the day trying to figure out what to do. And if you can plan it ahead, and I can cut 5 hours off your week, that now you can get on the phone and network and make calls to past clients or future clients. How much is that 5 hours worth?
It's gold. It's gold. You talk to any business person, the one thing that they want above anything else is time, you know? So it's gold for sure.
Because I get people all the time, why should I have to pay for it? It's free all over the internet. And I'm like, you're right, it is.
I love it. It's like, yeah, everybody says, oh, well, why do I want to pay for this? I can see it on YouTube. Yeah, but how long are you going to spend looking for what you want and reading and then looking at a whole load of stuff that doesn't serve you? You know, you want to talk to...
Wait, take it a step further. You have nobody to talk to about it. You're just watching a video.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you got nobody to answer your questions, and you don't even know whether that's an authority or whether it's good advice. It's, yeah, being a cheapskate, and I'm calling it for what it is really not a good idea. You know, and I know that there's a time when you're building your business and you need to be, it's difficult to grow, but there are certain things where, yeah, YouTube is useful, fine. But there are certain things where you really need to invest, and you need to have somebody who is going to give you some quality advice.
And there's different levels to invest at. Like I started these group subscriptions now that are $10 a month just to go to a place and ask a question, and within a half hour, usually there's answers.
That's just so awesome.
You know,
just gold.
And that's for the small ones that are feeling they can't deal with the money. Then I do my one-on-one coaching or corporate strategy. Well, obviously that's me personally, and that's a different situation. So, you know, there's different levels that you can be getting help on.
Yes. Yeah. That's just such a good offer you got there, Robert. Seriously.
I have 5 industries now that we're doing. So it's all on my business page. People can check it out. There's different ones: business services, realtors, MLMs, restaurants and hospitality, and then nonprofit.
That's fantastic.
One's a private subscription group. They're $10 a month. It's real simple.
It's brilliant.
And I use Facebook Live in the group to do live coaching with them.
Wow. That's a lot of value. That's really awesome.
We got to get you to set up a little coaching group.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it. Yeah.
So, but I want to thank you. I mean, everybody, again, as Andy said earlier, I put it in the chat, andythecoach.com. If you are watching this, you know, reach out to him, tell him you saw it on the Google Hangout. He'll do a 30-minute consultation with you, and hopefully pick up some points and stuff and get to know Andy, because maybe it's something you need in your life at this time that can be extremely beneficial, whether it's personal or business.
Fantastic.
It helps on all. Andy, I thank you so much for joining.
Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great. I've loved chatting to you, and I think we've put out some good stuff today. Hope people have enjoyed listening to us as well.
Definitely, definitely. And I will see everybody again, and stay tuned. Every Tuesday and Friday, we're doing these now. Different avenues of different things coming in. We got a bunch of people coming up for the rest of the year. I got Robin Wright coming up soon about blogging. I've got I got Ryan Stifelson coming up soon, all about reputation management online. That's going to be an interesting one. So I thanks everybody for joining, and I will see you next on the next Conversation Live. Take care.